My husband's usual way of correcting me and correcting others, I guess, is to criticize, to find faults, and to show with a lot of negative emotions how not to do something instead of how to do it. My mindset now, I've been watching these videos and being part of this, the love workout method. My mindset now is to keep a Christian mindset shield. When nobody else is present, I keep it better. But when my daughters are present, I feel ashamed because it is a shame to be in such a position. When bullets fall upon me in the presence of my daughters, I feel that makes me look like a poor mother, powerless to fight for herself. At such times, I abandon my attempts at keeping a Christ-like mindset, and I find myself trying to stop my husband. How do I deal with this? Thank you for asking that question. It's a very important one, which is, how do I handle an abusive husband in the presence of my children? So there are two things you are weighing there. You're weighing the fact that your husband is abusive, using negative words, negative emotions on you in order to correct you. And you're able to bear that when you're alone with him and respond properly. So I don't know what that properly means. I would like to know what that is. And then the second thing now is that you're saying, no, is that a good example to have in front of my daughters, because they are women? And if the husband is speaking negatively and I'm accepting it, maybe they will grow up and accept the same thing. How do I handle that? And I think it's a good question. It's a good question because we are dealing with two things there. Now, but remember, every time you want to fix a problem in a marriage, I encourage you to get to the roadmap. The roadmap always helps you to know exactly where you are in that journey. And so when you have an abusive husband, it's not about friendship yet. You're not in the place of friendship. You're in the place of building a massive love tank. And of course, if you in your heart are not even there, you may not even be in a place where you have a joyful heart. But I think from your question, because you say you're able to handle this when you're alone, so you're trying to bring your heart to that place, and you're also trying to develop that massive love tank. You call it a shield, and I remember saying that some other people call it a bulletproof vest. It's the same ideology, but it's not the same thing, because I don't want you to look at what your husband is doing as sending you bullets. Now, it is like that. That's how it feels, but that's not what they are attempting to do. What they are attempting to do is to steal love from you. So they want to be loved, and they don't know how to, and they want to take it from you by force, and it's wrong. It's very wrong. It shouldn't be allowed. Verbal abuse is not something that is good. And so what do you do though? Before now, you said you had a mindset that you're trying to have a Christ-like mindset, and Christ-like mindset is maybe in your own mind is not to respond negatively. Now, I want to go further than that and say, I want you to not just try to respond negatively, but learn to trigger the right feelings in him. And so rather than just not be bad, not respond, be kind, even when he's hurting you and saying negative words, but you want to not only learn to do that, you want to also trigger the right feelings and the right words and the right behavior when he's there. And how do you do that? That's the question you're asking. And so the way to do that, is number one, you start by taking a look at how to build a massive love tank here. The first thing that you need to do is to check your own feelings in your own heart. So I call it truth salad, or speaking the truth. Check your own heart. So when your husband is criticizing you, how do you feel? If you feel anger and you feel like lying that you didn't know or you didn't do that, or whatever you feel, that's where you start dealing with this from. Before we deal with the higher level thing, which is building friendship, we need to deal with the lower level issues. You need to use the misbehavior, the wrong behavior of your spouse to get you to be in the right place. So when you do that, what that does for you is that when you are now in the right place and you are now bringing in your contribution to trigger your spouse, you are in the good space. You're balanced. It's like when you're in the aircraft, the attendants always say, put on your own mask before you attempt to put on the other. So whenever someone hurts you, whenever someone says something against you, you want to make sure that your own heart is in the right place. So if you find that you are getting angry, or you're, like you said, you feel ashamed because your spouses, your children are there, that's one feeling. But what do you feel when you are alone? Maybe you feel a little bit angry, but you don't show it. So that's what you're doing. So you want to deal with that and say, Lord, I'm sorry. The anger that's happening in me is a result of what my husband is doing, is triggering, but it's reminded me that I'm not settled enough in love with you, so that I can understand that this man is doing the wrong thing, but I'm allowing that to steal my joy. So when you deal with that internally, you then be able to move forward to the next level, which is now to think about, what would this person want? They want to be acknowledged. And many times you can just say, oh, I'm sorry about that. And then trigger the right feeling in them, because you know them, because you know exactly where they are. Many times when people are abusive or aggressive, is because they feel threatened, they feel disrespected, they feel that they don't have a voice, or it's just a habit. They've been doing it all their lives, and so they do it again. So you can just trigger a thought and say, oh, my dear sweetheart, you are doing this. Did somebody get you angry before now? What caused that? And after you have calmed that down and dealt with that, you will still have to deal with the issue later. When things are calm, you can then speak and say, you know what, I discovered that when you're angry, you say things like this. And your husband, if you have come to a place where you are building friendship, they will respond to that and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to harm you. Why? Because you are not attacking them. Now, with your children there, if you deal with it in a way of de-escalating the problem rather than just absorbing it, you will find that they will learn that too. And you may be thinking that, oh, why do I want them to learn to de-escalate abuse rather than respond and resist it? The reason why is that if you learn to de-escalate abuse or any violence, attack, or lies or pretense from someone, you help them see what they're doing and they change. It's so much more powerful than attacking, because when a person is already lost, when someone doesn't have enough food, for example, if it's food, they don't have enough food and they are trying to steal yours and you attack them, you don't help them. What you would do in real life, if you are rich, let's say you have a lot of money and you put your bread on the table and someone comes and steals the bread and runs away and starts eating it, what you would do in real life is that you will pity them and you go buy more bread for them. So this is what you want to do emotionally also. When a person attacks you, tries to take your stuff, it's because they are starving of what you have in excess, which is a massive love tank. So what you do, you give them, you donate your love to them, and begin to work that. Now, this is a lot of stuff, and it takes usually time to learn this. But that's how Jesus operated, and that's how the kingdom is supposed to be. So if you find that you're struggling in this, and you find yourself, you always begin to defend yourself because you're thinking you are protecting your children. No, you're not. You need to learn how to be kind and firm. So say you put water on the table and your husband comes, who's the fool that put this water on the table, right? And you feel, no, and the children may have seen you put it in there. Now you may feel like saying something back to hurt them, so that to hurt him or to make him stop, because you don't want to look like a fool in front of your children. But it will be better if you look up and say, darling, I think you're upset today. What's up? What's going on with you? I put that there. I'm sorry for putting it there because maybe there's a reason why not. And if there's no reason, then you deal with that situation. On and on like that. You de-escalate. And now, you will not feel bad when you de-escalate if you understand the picture that whenever a person is attacking you, it's because they don't know how to love. And they need love. So we must give it to them. And that's why we have so much confidence in our marriages, because you know that it's very rare to find someone who will love you unconditionally. Before I go, I want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, because all of this week, all of the next week, I'm going to be answering questions. And after that, I will continue to go live every week to answer your questions and teach more on this topic.